G'day legends, it's Jai that Aussie metal guy here. Before we get stuck into another great interview brought to you by krannk.com and thatmetalstation.com, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe, and that way you can keep up to date with all the best music and interviews from all over the world. Hey, how you all going? It's Jai that Aussie metal guy here with krannk.com and with thatmetalstation.com. So wherever you are in the world today, tonight, it's a great pleasure that I'm getting to have a chat with Paul Chavez of Stockhausen and the Amplified Riot. Paul, thank you very much to have a chat with you all, man.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolute pleasure, man. We're here to talk about the latest EP, which is Era of the Inauthentic, come out 19th of August. Really, really cool album, man. It's an absolute pleasure. It always is when working with Curtis, when he sends over music and I get to explore and find new bands. But for the uninitiated, Paul, can you tell me a little bit about the sound and who Stockhausen and the Amplified Riot are?
Okay. The sound is very, I guess you would call it post-punk. It's very rooted in mid-70s type of punk and new wave. That's kind of the nexus of it all, really. And it just kind of grew from that. Stockhausen and the Amplified Riot. So the band started off as 3 people. So we got together, we were jamming, we had some songs, and COVID got really serious. So we all kind of had to like stay away and do the lockdown thing. And then from there, I just kept writing music, and I'm using my drum machine while I'm creating demos, right? And once we kind of got out of the whole pandemic, it was like, well, maybe I can do this on my own, because the other 2 guys were like, I've started another band, and I've started another band. And a real drummer has like at least 3 to 6 bands, so it's like, okay, fine. Let me just see if I can do this. And so far, so good. I decided we were originally called the Amplified Riot, and I decided to expand the name out to try and get like this really long name for a 1-person band. And there you go.
Yeah, what was that period like for you? You know what I mean? Going from having this being a 3-piece to a solo, was it like a seamless transition where it was like, man, I'm just going to keep working, or?
Kind of. I mean, it was difficult because it was easy because I had all these demos that I had done on the drum machine. It was difficult because now I have to translate this in some kind of energy live. What am I going to do to present this to people live?
Okay.
And that's what the real trick was, because I'm used to having other sounds going in around me. Now I have to figure out how to get this thing to work, get a show going, and entertain people, but also get the music done. It was a real challenge.
Yeah, I think that's a real interesting way to look at it, Paul, because I've spoken to a few people. They're like, look, this is a solo project. We don't plan on it going anywhere. But where you've gone, look, this is a solo project. I want to be able to play this live. I want to be able to have that connection with the fans and see my music kind of hitting it off. So for me, that's a really cool way of doing it, man. That must have been a real interesting process for you, going through your head. How am I going to do this? I'm going to set it up, because I've seen it. I've seen 2-piece people do it before, and I have seen solo acts do it before. So for me, it's really invigorating, and it gets me enthusiastic to see, not only are you doing a solo project, but look, I want to get this out live. So that's very, very cool, man.
Thank you. I see a lot of rap artists and R&B artists, and they do it live, just them with a microphone. I'm like, if they can do it, I can do it. I can do this.
Yeah, that's very, very cool, man. Tell me a little bit about your songwriting process for this latest EP, pardon me, being that, it was all you kind of there. As you said, you did have some demos kind of you wanted to work on. Tell me about that whole process making this.
So 3 of the songs are left over from the original band when we had musicians, kind of a thing. So I'm still transitioning a lot of those demos to just drum machine, guitar, and vocals.
Yeah.
2 of the other 2. So I'm an avid bike rider. I love riding my bike. Matter of fact, here she is.
Go. Duty?
Uh,
There we
so,
go.
so yeah, I'm an avid bike rider, and I will be riding along on a trail somewhere, and I'll have like a rhythm going while I'm riding, and then I'll start metronomically thinking like, and then I'll start humming a melody. I'll pedal to that BPM, if you will, and then I'll have a melody going on in my head, and I'm just passing the time, but I'm creating the song as I'm doing it. And then at some point, I have to pull over and record it like on my phone, so I don't forget it, right? So yeah, that's kind of how this latest batch of songs has been going, just influenced by riding my bike.
It's for creativity, riding a bike, i.e., being out in nature and being out in the sun and nature. I know the last few years everyone's been locked away, but for me,
Right.
there's nothing more as a creative person than getting out. I love walking, so getting out and just walking, being amongst nature. And for you, it's bike riding, and it can't be said enough how good it is to get out there and be amongst nature and have that as a creative person as well.
Mm-hmm. Plus, with the lockdown, kind of, that was slowly easing off. All I could really do was just get on my bike and go somewhere. There weren't a whole lot of people out, so I was still somewhat isolated, somewhat alone.
Yep.
And I just used that time to kind of just start composing things that I want to hear while I'm riding my bike, kind of a thing.
Yeah, I dare say, listening to this album, your influences would be, fairly wide range of influences in there. Can you tell me about some of the influences and people that have kind of inspired you, man?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one of the ones that everyone else will pick up on, and probably yourself as well, Stereolab, Suicide, Noi, and Kraftwerk. Those kind of bands really have influenced this phase of what I'm doing because they're so electronic. Well, not Stereolab, but they're very electronic and they're very krautrock.
Yeah.
And I find that kind of metronomic kind of it's like I really dig that, and so I just play along with it. And so those kind of artists have influenced me, but also people like David Bowie, who completely would change his sound and his style every couple of years, and sometimes on one album it's very, very different. So I took that as a lead, like, you can do this because if somebody like that can gain acceptance from having these wide range of styles, I think you can too. And so I'm trying it that way. And then, somebody like Frank Zappa, who also would take a wide range of styles in one song
Yeah.
and just go nuts. I'm like, I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's what I found refreshing about listening to this EP, the era of the Inauthentic. It was, and your other EP as well. The styles, it goes all over the place. Yes, as you said, it's that post punk, but it's the rock. It's got heavy fuzz on there, and at times the electro pop kind of vibe to it as well. That just absolutely has you kind of grooving out to it. It must be a lot of fun making your music as well.
It is. It's also it's interesting because I don't quite know where to take it, like who to put it in front of. So I will play shows with punk bands, with shoegaze, with stoner metal, and I seem to kind of fit into that little area where they all kind of intersect. But it's nerve-wracking and it's kind of scary. Because you've got a lot of guys wearing a lot of black t-shirts and denim. Well, not right now because it's summer over here, and they're like, okay, this is all right. This they can get into it. It's kind of terrifying.
Yeah, but also a lot of fun when you pull it off at the end of the night. Can you tell me a little bit about the first track, man, the Adolescent Lightning?
That's about Roman Polanski, and it's written from the perspective of the girl who he hurt.
Yeah.
So it's her talking now, if you will, to Roman, saying, "Look, all these years have gone by, and I'm still suffering from this. And just admit it, Roman. Just admit what you did was wrong back then, and just pay for your crime."
Yep.
But it's from her perspective on. She is the adolescent lightning because she was a rising star in the art world and in the modeling world. and he kind of ruined that for her. And so I wrote it from that perspective.
Yeah, very, very tough subject, but also a cool track as well, man. Can we
Thank
talk
you.
about the next one, man? Because it jumps right in from that one to Hunky Punk, man, which is kind of creepy as bloody hell, man. I actually really dug that one too, man.
Thanks. I wrote the music and I'm like, what is this song going to be about? So I was like, okay, I'm going to write about a hunky. Yeah, hunky punks are the kind of gargoyle looking things on buildings. And I was like, well, what if I wrote it from like, I am one of those gargoyle things and I want to kind of just tell my story, if you will, something like that. So it's written from that somewhat perspective, but it's still just like, I don't even know what to say. But that's kind of, I referenced Sheen on a Gig, the famous hunky punk, the female hunky punk, so gargoyle thing. So it's kind of written from that area.
Yeah,
but it just happened.
It's a cool track, man. Fun.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, that was a fun track. It jumped into that first one, then the second one, dude. It was really, really for me, a refreshing EP to jump into, and really enjoyed the different moments in there, like the punk elements, the rock elements, and the electro pop elements. All these different elements you had in there. Can you tell us about the next track? We'll walk through the EP. Tell me about the next track. What If It Never Ends?
That was a very early song that we wrote, and it was about the pandemic.
Yep.
It was all about like what yeah, exactly. We asked ourselves that very question. What if this never ends? What do we do? And it's very Spaceman 3 oriented.
Yep.
So like Noi, KRAFTWERK, Spaceman 3. So it's got that kind of vibe to it. That's the only song I recorded. I recorded that song at a studio called Sugar Hill here in Houston, Texas. And Sugar Hill is where dang it, Beyonce.
Nice.
So I think that's her name. So like her and her family, they've recorded there. A lot of other bands.
Well, I have to say, I liked your EP a lot more than I liked Beyonce's album, dude. So,
yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it was weird. It was weird. Like she stood right here. She was here. It was one of those things. Like, wow.
Yeah, it's cool just to be in that kind of moment as well as big a pop star she is. She's a billionaire, so it would have been pretty cool to kind of go, look, man, I recorded in the same studio. At least to go to your parents and the family that don't kind of understand the punk and the rock kind of things. It's like I actually recorded in the same studio as B. Come on.
Yeah.
I made it.
Here's something now. We're pals now.
Yeah, that's it, AB. Awesome. The next track there, Tilde Mae, it goes for 11:59, like 12 minutes, man. It's an absolute epic, and you find yourself right in the middle there, kind of just jamming out and going with it for a while. Really cool track as well, man. So many different moments in this one. Tell me about this one.
That was more influenced by people like Brian Eno, but also Stereolab. It does, when they get into that moment of that like existential type of moment where you hit this groove, you like, I like this sound. I think I want to listen to it for 11 minutes. And it just keeps going. You just get lost in it. And live, it's extremely nerve-wracking to do that song because it's just me hitting one note for 8 to 10 to 12 minutes. I'm just one note the whole time. And I'm like, everyone must think I'm nuts or that I've forgotten something. This is how it goes. I want that kind of like sound to envelope you and kind of put you in this safe, warm area of sound. And then I'm going to take you right out of it. But before that, I use a theremin. And so that's that kind of like sound in there. That's a theremin.
Okay.
So I use that, and of course everyone's just like, "That's kind of cool. What the heck is that thing?" Like, yeah, that's what it is. But yeah, that's written from. It's just a story. It's a relationship story. It's about somebody that you love. You can't stop loving. You can't stop thinking about. And that's basically what the song's about.
Yeah, cool track. And you do have yourself vibing out right in the middle there, dude, for a while until it kind of changes up a little bit more towards the end there. It's
Yeah.
Cool track, man. And you were mentioning like that people were going like, "Oh, fuck," spinning out when they're seeing you rip that out on stage as well. What's it like when you finish a show? It must be for you encouraging when people come up and talk to you. They're seeing someone
Mhm.
else, they come across your music. It's always encouraging as a band that isn't necessarily a headliner or no people haven't come to see, but yet they really enjoy it. The comments and the feedback must be great for you. What's that like?
It's surprising, but very, because it is kinda nervous because 'cause I'm like,
Yeah, oh
I
yeah,
don't
you're
sound
putting yourself
anything
all
like
out
you
there as a
guys."
solo.
Yeah, and a lot of people are like, "Dude, I'm not trying to, like, blow my own horn
No,
here, but
no.
they're really very appreciative, and they're like, "That was like nothing else I've seen." And they're usually like, "This is really unique and really different," and some of them will be like, "I've always wanted to start a solo project and do this," but that kinda takes some balls to get up there, really believe in yourself, and it's just you.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I've really found that the metal community is the nicest bunch of people ever. Even though they you may think like, "Oh, okay, they may be very closed-minded because of what they listen to." Absolutely not. They are just this most embracing group of people ever. And they could be there's a band that I played with called Cocaine Titans. The band's called Cocaine Titan. I mean, you can't get more gritty, dark, and their sound is like imagine if Bolt Thrower just they were writing the soundtrack to the end of the world, which their albums usually are, but Bolt Thrower's sound just really compressed down into like this collapse of the earth. That's what Cocaine Titans sounds like. And I played a show with them, and all four of those guys were like, "Hey man, that's dope."
Yeah.
Like, Really? You're not gonna, like, shoot me?" "No, that was awesome. The harmonica thing and the theremin, what the hell? That was awesome." Just really refreshing to have that kind of acceptance.
Oh, well, us metalheads in the metal community, I think I'm quite biased, but the metal, the punk, and the rock community are unreal. Yes, we do listen to those music, but I'll listen to
Mhm.
classical music. I listen to folk. I even went and listened to some country music the other day for an interview, and it was like the first interview I'd done with the country, and it's not my thing usually, but I actually didn't mind it. You know what I mean? I actually quite enjoyed
Mhm.
doing it. So metalheads, we can go all over the bloody shop, and you shouldn't just typecast someone as well. People out there, so don't do it.
Right, that's right, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Nicest
it's
community.
awesome.
We're full of stereotypes, but it is absolutely the nicest community. And I've done so many of these interviews, and everyone I've interviewed has just been absolutely amazing to talk to. And you mentioned the harmonica. We got to talk about Intubation Blues, the last track on
Yeah,
that, man.
yeah, yeah. That's definitely influenced from the whole COVID situation.
Yeah.
Um, we've known you and I have probably know a lot of people who've passed away. But it's that and when you're at that moment, when I just imagine if you're in the hospital, you're being intubated, you're about to go, and just that regret, just that like, God, if only I had done this or that, not only for your health,
Yeah.
but just in life in general. It's like, if only I had said this, if only I had said goodbye to these people, that kind of a thing.
Oh yeah.
That's Intubation Blues. And I really wanted to juxtapose that like super cold mechanical drum sound with the warmth of the harmonica.
Harmonica.
Kind of
Yeah.
like you're in this room, it's a cold, sterile environment, and there's a human. And I wanted to kind of like smash those two ideas together in a song. And yeah, that's how I did that.
Yeah, yeah, really, really cool track, and I love the harmonica in it as well. And I want to touch on that message there about regret. You know what I mean? As you said, we've both lost a lot of people through the last couple of years, as is a lot of people who are going to watch this as well. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
for me, one of the things I got out of that was to kind of live life as well. The people that I've lost, I had given me so much strength in going forward, and that I'm not going to try not to lose many opportunities and just dive into things, give them a go. I got my passport. I'm traveling overseas next week. You know what I mean? I'm
Right
jumping
on.
into as many opportunities as I can. I kept doing radio through it all, the interviews, and the whole community has been absolutely unreal. And you know what I mean? We've all lost people, but use their memories in a positive way to push forward because they would not want you to drop off and waste your life and just give up. So yeah, that was my message anyway. Something uplifting for the people watching this anyway, Paul.
Yeah, yeah. No, I completely and absolutely agree with you.
Yeah, it's a crazy year, man. Crazy couple of years. It's this album is EP is absolute ripper. I cannot recommend it enough for the people out there. Just go out and grab it. Where's the best place people can go out and support you? Over on Bandcamp, I noticed, because I love Bandcamp. I think it was Artificial Head Records. Bandcamp.com.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's exactly right.
And you've also got Twitter as well, and Instagram. I'll put in all the links as well. That's it?
Yeah, that's it. I don't not on Facebook.
No.
I don't really find Facebook to be all that not like what it used to be, you know.
No.
So Instagram seems to fill that void, and Twitter, yeah, it's Twitter. What can you do?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Look, Paul, this has been absolute pleasure. Everybody get over and grab some Stockhausen and the Amplified Riot. They've already got the EP out. Have We Lost Our Minds, or Have We Found Our Soul? Came out last year. The new one come out 19th of August. Everybody grab it, put it in the stereos, crank it up really bloody loud. Paul, this has been an absolute pleasure, my friend. Do you have any last words, shout outs, thank yous, or anything you'd like to add in there before we end off?
Man, thank you so much. This has been a real pleasure. I truly appreciate the support.
No worries. Thank you very much. You have a lovely evening. Cheers, mate.
Hey, you have a great morning.
I will do. Thank you.
Yeah.